Everybody, welcome back to the channel. Nigel here with you, Nigel's Modelling Bench, and here we are now with part 3. I finished filming part 2 yesterday or the day before, I can't remember, so this is all good and set now. So we're going to get all the clamps off and we're going to have a look at doing some seam work. So if you haven't seen part 2 and you've got this kit, or any variant of this kit, go and take a look, because I think there's some handy little bits of tips in there, even if I say so myself, like putting these doors in first so you can glue them in from behind and not get any glue marks on the outside. I don't know why Takom didn't suggest that in the instructions, but it does look like there is some there's some framework in there, so it looks like they're going to be making some inserts to go in. It's probably going to be like an upgrade set or something that they'll charge as much as the bloody kit for. That's what men do all the time, isn't it? They do a kit for like £70 and then they want £45 for a resin engine to go in it. It's like, what? So anyway, so we'll get rid of all these clamps because we're done with them. So what we could do is start looking at the seams. So basically, anywhere where I want a seam to remain, I'm going to use Mr. Surfacer, because I'm going to put that down here, and then we can go over the cotton bud with leveling thinners and take it out, and that will leave the rivet detail behind. This area here I want dead flat and I want it to remain smooth, so I'm going to use the VMS black super glue there. This line here, this is actually a panel line. This is actually a pair of doors that fold open, so I may well rescribe that line and get it nice and even, because at the moment it's a bit sort of higgledy-piggledy. This one here I think is going to be a nice seam. I think that's a removable panel. I don't think there's a join there. The front I'm not gluing yet. I also need to get something over that interior, don't I, to stop all the dust going in there, because with it being black and with all the sand and dust being grey and white and whatever, it's going to stick out like a sore thumb. So I'm going to get that covered up. I think what I'll do is get a piece of paper. Here we have a piece of paper. No, here we have a piece of paper. I'm going to put that in there. So I think what I'll do is shorten it so it can be, I can sort of cut it down to there, like so. Then we can put that in there and we can tape it into position, and that will help us keep dust away from the cockpit. So we'll get some bits of masking tape off. I'm going to have to get some more of this soon. Ed at Premium Hobbies, if you want your supplies, get it from Premium Hobbies, use the code NMB10, you get 10% off everything. And I'm also going to grab a pencil, I'm going to mark that there and there, and then we can cut this off here. This is like going back to the sky crane again, isn't it, protecting the cockpit. It's only while we do the seams. So I can tape that there and tape that one there, and then turn it around, pull the paper over. I can tape that one there and that one there. There we go. So that's the cockpit protected, right, that's the main thing. So I'm going to go on now, I'm going to get some super glue in here, super glue in there, and Mr. Surfacer under there. You don't need to watch me do that because you've seen me do it all before. And then we're going to look at, we've already glued this here, we're going to get these pieces in here, and we're going to get this here glued in, because if you remember, I haven't glued this piece here is separate. I haven't glued it in so I could get it even on both sides, because it's like a sort of raised panel. So I'll see you in a minute and we'll get on with some more of that. Okay, so done a little bit off of camera. I've sanded the spine here. Remember, this was done with super glue. I've sanded up here, I've sanded over there, down the back. The underneath I've done with leveling thinners, which I'm going to show you now in another area. And then up here, sanded this out. And then right here, where that rivet has had to be sanded out because it's right on the joint. Quite why they didn't make a separate piece. They could have easily made, like they have with the back end here, they made a cap that goes on. They could have just made a piece that goes on. It would have saved all this bloody work. I sometimes wonder, these kit designers, if they've ever built a kit in their lives. But that would have made life a lot easier to have just a bit just dropping down on. So you can see I've got Mr. Surfacer down here. I've run a scriber down that line, that seam line, just sort of deepened it up a bit. So what we do now, And you can see I've glued this section here, got it central. I've put Mr. Surface around there, and then we'll on a cotton bud, rub it away, and then we end up with a panel line filled, but we've still got a panel line and we don't lose any of our detail. Whereas here, we don't want a panel line, we want a seamless line. Here we want the seam, because I believe there is a seam between those two rows of rivets. Are there two rows of rivets? There's two rows of rivets here, and there's two rows of rivets there. Yeah, there are. Just very, very difficult to see. Very strange. One's very soft and one's very definite. I think I might go over there gently with a sponge just to sort of even them out. But then it's underneath, we're not going to look. So I've glued this rear panel on here. Mr. Surface around there. Again, we'll go around with a cotton bud and remove the excess. I've got a little undercut in it there. Lots of little tiny flaws on this kit. This panel here's gone in. And if you remember, we had to hold it in. I couldn't actually clamp it. There was no way to clamp it down without the clamps flying off. So what I did was I glued one side, let the glue go off so it's gelled so it won't capillary under, put the tape on, and then pull the other side down, put the glue in, leave it about a minute, let the glue go off so it won't capillary, and then put another piece of tape on. So we should now be able to take these pieces of tape off, and we should have a nice neat job. Let's see how neat it's come out. It's Tuesday right now. I've been watching Ice Queen 7's live stream tonight. I'm normally on there, but tonight I wanted to get on with this build and get video, and it's impossible to be on there and be videoing and recording at the same time, so I haven't been able to do that tonight. But anyway, so I'm now going to go around here. I've got a brush here which has already got Mr. Surfacer in it. I don't generally clean brushes with Mr. Surfacer on, because as soon as you put the brush back in, it remelts it. So we can go over here and just fill in these gaps. And what we're trying to do is we want to retain the line, because it's a shut line with a removable panel, and this helicopter is covered in them. So I'm putting plenty in there so it could capillary into the gap, and then we can rub off the excess and leave a nice line behind. So there we go. There we are. So we can let that go off, and I also need to put some more here, look, because there's like a slot in behind there, and the slot continues to the outside edge, and it shouldn't. So I'm going to put some more all the way around there so we can make sure we get a nice tight fit. That part didn't actually fit that well, really. Okay, so that's that done. So now I can show you what I do. If you've watched my channel, you've seen me do this on nearly every build I do. This is one of the problems with having a video channel building kits. It kind of gets a bit samey. You know, cleaning up panel lines, cleaning up parts before they're glued together, cutting them off the sprue. It's all the same. That is a bit of an issue. But all we do is get some leveling thinners on a cotton bud and just go around like this, as you can see, and remove the excess Mr. Surfacer, and it leaves you with a sort of, I wouldn't say seamless, but it's a seamed panel line. Just like so. And if you do this really quickly before it dries to it, you can use alcohol, you can use IPA. You can use IPA once it's dry, but it's a bit of a nightmare to remove once it's gone off you after a few hours. This has probably been on here for about an hour and a half. There you go. As you can see, the cotton bud is being destroyed because of all this rough texture on here. As you can see, it's removing it. This is what I want to do at the moment. It's sort of, as you see, it's all smearing it around. It's sort of going everywhere. What we do then, we get the other end. Get the other end, dip it in. If you notice, I'm closing the bottle. One, because of the fumes. Two, if you leave the lid off, you are bound. Sod's law dictates that you will knock it over. So there we go, just rub over there, and as you can see, you can rub over all this detail and not damage any of it. The only thing you have to be careful of is bits of fluff coming off the cotton bud that you don't notice before you prime. There you go, the harder you rub, the more you'll get in between all the detail. And there you go, you can see now there you are. Nice. Sort of, you've got the panel line, but it's a seamless joint. So I'm going to do the same on the spine here. I have seen at least one build where they've actually filled this and sanded it smooth, and it's not strictly correct. I think there should be a line across there as well. Yeah, I think there should be a line across there, because you've got hinge there, hinge there, hinge there, hinge there. There's no way that that is going to be able to open. I think there should be a line across there. We'll have to look and scribe one in. To look at my reference photos again. But if you put into a lot of people say, oh, where'd you get your reference pics from? I just use Google. I just put Apache under maintenance or Apache factory in Google Images, and you get loads and loads of really good pictures come up. Really handy. Just be careful of the different variants, the A, D, E, the British, the Israeli, all the different ones. So don't sort of, you know, if you see a lump and a bump somewhere, don't think, oh, it's missing on my kit and it needs to be there. It's probably the wrong variant, unless Takom got it wrong, which isn't unheard of. But I'm not looking into that much detail. I'm just looking into the basic structure of the thing. I have noticed that Takom do give you the option of two different FLIR units, forward-looking infrared units. And I believe, from what I've seen, I believe the E has, if I think of it, I believe the E has, where is it that we build that unit up? Oh, where is it? It's near the front. There it is. I believe the E has that unit. Okay, so that's P43, 42, 63 and 16. It seems like all the later pictures have that unit on them. So bear that in mind. If I'm wrong, please tell me, because everybody else will also need to be told I'm wrong. But I believe that all the latest pictures I've seen have that unit. Now this, you can see, this hasn't been done very long at all. I haven't turned the camera off, have I? You can see that already it's dry. I'm going to get a fresh cotton bud into the leveling thinners. So you can see how quick this can be. You can just rub it out. Like so. And then because the gaps in here are quite big, we'll probably have to go over it again, because you'll probably end up with little air pockets where there's been a bubble or something, or it didn't quite go in. As you can see, we can just rub this away. But you know, you've just seen me put this on, and you can see already how quick it's dried and how tough it is to get off. But once again, you can see once I've cleaned this up, you can see that we've got a gap for a couple of gaps here, like I say, but looking over the top, you've got pretty much a gap-free panel, but we've got the panel lines remaining, which is what we want because this is actually a removable panel. So there we go. So I'm going to carry on and clean all this up, and then I'll come back when we do something else. Right, so I've put some more around there because of the holes and everything, so we'll leave that to dry for a few more hours and do that. Now, here's where I'm talking about crazy build sequences, which I know that some of you like me to talk about. We've got to fit these two parts in here, and basically these are going to go into here. Okay, so they're going to fit in there, and then we're going to have Mr. Surface around them, and they're going to be all lovely and everything. Now, I've just noticed that one has a bit of flash on the front edge, which is going to affect our panel line, so I'm just going to remove that. Is this one the same? No. So worth looking out for that. Now what they would have us do is fit all this here, which we've done, and then fit all these tiny little bits and pieces that are going to be easy to break off, and we've got the gun going in the bottom, which is going to be all flimsy, we've got all this going on the front, and then we've got all these grab handles and steps and everything. And then we're going to fit all the side pods, the sponsons, then we're going to fit more footholds and greeblies and more greeblies and photo etch bits on the top and railings down the sides. And then we're going to fit the wings, and then we're going to build all the engines up, and then we're going to fit the engines, put all the engines up, these little flimsy bits here which are held on with little tiny 3D parts and everything. And then we're going to go all the way up here and do all this, fit all the engines, get all the engines on. You could have the doors open, so they're going to be real fiddly, and then come along and fit this. I mean, I'm going to have to hold this to do this, to do the Mr. Surface. I mean, it's just crazy. So some of you say, why do I keep darting around in the assembly sequence? This is why. It's because I want to be able to hold it, go around with a Mr. Surfacer. I don't want to be sort of trying to sort of hold a little area down here like I was with the Sky Crane and trying to work on it. It was the same with the Sky Crane, wasn't it, if you remember? So it's all about, you know, just using a bit of common sense and thinking about how the thing's going to go together. I mean, there's nothing to go inside here, so we're not going to get unstuck. If we did this as soon as we put the fuselage halves together, which basically we are, it doesn't really matter. So what I'm doing now is just looking at the fits, and I can see that on the bottom it's looking a little bit wide, and there's a bit of a step there, so we've got a bit of sprue attachment point still on there. Yes, on that one there, I can feel it. That's just holding that away, and I'm just going to remove a touch of material there because it feels a bit wide at the front. Okay, so we'll just try again, see how it looks. And this is the good thing about dry fitting, guys. You see the fit of the part is nigh on perfect. It's very nice indeed. So that one's going to slot into there. Yeah, I'm a lot happier with that now. Okay, so what we can do to save us having to apply the glue from the outside on both sides, what we can do is apply the cement in here, just like so, holding it in place. I'm not pushing it, I'm pushing it, but I'm not going to let it go until that glue is gelled off, because if I let it go and then I need to push it back in, I'll get glue oozing out and it'll look like a pigeon shit weld rather than a nice clean panel line. If you just hold it, it'll be fine. Okay, so that's fine. So I'm just going to put my finger back on it, drop this pan in here. We've got a bit of flash on the bottom there as well, I think. Check your parts for flash. This kit has got a little bits of flash everywhere. It's very strange for such a new kit. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is just glue the leading edge. Just let the glue capillary into that joint. It doesn't matter if it oozes out because we're going to be sanding that leading edge. So we're not at all worried about glue oozing out of there. And all I do is make sure my fingers are away from the seams. Now you can see here, if I push that in, it goes sub-flush, so I'm just going to leave it natural. And squeeze that front together. I wonder if I can get a peg to stay on there. No. Okay, so I'm going to run extra thin into that joint there and into the front here, and then a drop down in there, and I should be able to just push that I don't want to peg it, because if I peg it, or clamp it should I say, it will go sub-flush, and I don't want that. So what I'll do is just applying some pressure just to keep it there. As I say, once you've got a few seconds and the glue's gelled off, it won't capillary out into your fingers, so don't worry. But don't do this straight away, because the glue will under your finger and you'll make a mess. And the truth is, if you look at these helicopters in real life, they're all sort of, the panels aren't perfect or anything, the riveting is lovely straight, but you'll have mismatches on panels and stuff, so don't worry about that. And this is all removable anyway, so they can get to the, like the Sky Crane, you'll have a spindle coming back here, a drive shaft into a gearbox that converts it up to there into a gearbox that drives the tail rotor. So this is all removable. You can see here we've got hinges, so this will hinge over. I can't see any hinges on here, so these are obviously going to be removable panels. They're probably not even aluminium, they're probably composite. But, there's a lot of panels on this thing that the insides are red, which is like an old linen resin sort of colour, like the old fuel tanks in a Lancaster. But there we go. So that's all nice and flush now, so we can leave that to dry off for a few minutes, and then we'll put some Mr. Surface around there, and then we can come back tomorrow with our levelling thinners and just go around and clean up the seams. And on the leading edge here we'll give it a sand, but it needs some super glue. There's a gap in the middle there. I don't know why that gap keeps coming back. So I've got some super glue here in the pot, so we may as well use it now. So we'll put the super glue on the top. Keep it away from that seam line. There we go. So that can dry off overnight. I could come in the morning and sand that away. And there we go. Like I say, I'll leave that for a little while, and then I'll put some Mr. Surface around there, and then I'll take it off just like you've seen me do everywhere else. I'm also going to look into where this panel line goes across here, because I want to put that in. It's not there, I want to put it in. Right, welcome back. Next day now. So I talked about this panel line going across here. I'm not sure if you'll be able to pick it up, but if you see, there are strips down here, down the edges of these engine panels, and there is a gap, so that's where that line should be. So if you want to scribe that line in yours, because the thing is, you've got 3 hinges there and they're in a straight line, so that panel can open, and then we've got a hinge here and a hinge here, and you see the hinges obviously have to be on the same line, otherwise when they try and open it the panel would just buckle. So that panel there opens, that panel there opens, and the same here. You can probably see some primer on there. I've gone over with some Mr. Surfacer primer just as a ghost coat, just to see what's going on. What I did discover, this line here where these doors shut was a bit sort of off. Now, something I've often talked about in the past if you are, like if you've got a nose going on and you've got a seam here and the manufacturer have decided to have that seam as a panel line, it's very, very difficult to get a nice seam. Other than that, when you've got a perfect fit like this, then it's great. What you need to do is fill that seam. I mean, this rose detail won't help at all, but a normal, say like on my Airfix Vulcan, if you look at that, what I did, fill that seam, okay, fill it with super glue, whatever, fill it and then sand it flush, and then just come 0.5 millimetre or 1 millimetre just either side of that line and rescribe a new line. Trying to scribe into glue and everything in a panel line is a nightmare, and I've done exactly that here. And what happened was, exaggerated, it came down and it went like it was sort of all over the place. So what I've done, filled it with super glue, sanded it back flush, used some of the sticky tape, the Dymo tape, or it's not Dymo tape, it's this stuff here I get from Premium Hobbies, scribing guide tape. It's absolutely brilliant. It's much stickier than Dymo tape. Put that down like that, scribe the line, and then very gently scribe it, or just follow what you had before, and then you end up with a straight line. And we'll put some primer on in a minute, see what it looks like. This area here, if you remember, this is one of my little hateful areas of the aircraft. I drilled a hole in this rivet here that we've lost. I'm going to try one of the these rivets that I reviewed yesterday. I've drilled a hole in there, 0.4 millimeters, 0.35, sorry. Now these other rivets around here, I've touched those with the sander, so they've become a bit softer. And you can see where I've sanded over again to get rid of any marks. It's very funny actually, the plastic sort of seems to come along and it sort of goes up and then down. You can see where I'm sanding it. I'm sanding the edges and there's a patch there in the middle I'm sanding, but here and here it's not sanding it. It's very weird. It's like it comes up, it's here and it goes down. It's like a trough through here. So it's very difficult to get it level, especially when you're trying to sand between those rivets. As I say, why don't they just make a bloody piece to go on? It's taken a lot of time, that. So anyway, I'm going to put that rivet in. If it looks out of place, I'm going to drill the others out and replace them as well. I don't think it's going to be a very noticeable area because you're going to have the rotor head here and everything. But it's good to show you guys how all this stuff works out, isn't it? You can see here I've sanded along there with a sponge just to see basically what we've got. And we have a lovely seam there. All up here is a lovely seam. I need to do a little bit of work on this area here at the top. We've gone down the back. I think that's all good. I've got some more sanding to do in there. I put some more super glue in there. I need to get one of my little skinny sanders here. Not skinny sanders, my PE sanders. And just get in there and sand that flush, which I can do in a minute off camera. Here we've had the Mr. Surfacer. Here we've had the Mr. Surfacer, here was Mr. Surfacer, all taken off with extra leveling thinners. Here it's lovely, we've got no seam showing, it's really, really nice. So I think there should be some rivets around there, but they're very, very small. And one side of my kit didn't have any, and the other side did, so I've just sanded them off. I'm not really sure what's going to go there. I'm imagining it's going to be some sort of light or something. I can't see what's going to go there. Something's going to go there, but it's, as I say, it's going to be under the rotor head. You're not really going to see it a lot. I've also masked around here to stop any overspray going into the cockpit. So yeah, and when we do the spraying up here, just take a piece of paper, roll it into a tube, and then that can go over. Roll it tighter than that. That can go over and slot into there, like so. Just push it down in, and that'll stop any paint going in around your rotor head. So there we go. So I'll do some more spraying down here just to check these seams out again, and then we'll get on and try and mess around with these rivets. That'll be a bit of fun. Right, okay, so I've gone over and sprayed all down here. I noticed when I did this, I did have a slight witness of the glue line that's just next to this, so I went quite heavy and I've managed to sand it out, so that's all looking good. All this is looking good, no seam lines visible there. Looks like we may have something just to work on there a touch. We can look at that in a minute. All around here is good. This area here, as I say, I drilled out that hole and I've tried one of these anise rivets and it's bloody brilliant. I won't show you what it looks like now, but I've decided, because it looks so good, I'm going to sand off the rest. If yours is flat, the rivet matches. In fact, what I will do it now, because then you can see what it looks like against the others. I've got one here. Oops. I've got one here which I took off. Waste not, want not, eh? I've got one here. And I think I've just dropped it. No, I haven't. There it is. So I can pick that up. And I can put that in that hole. He says. I'm not even sure I've got it the right way up. I should be doing this with a magnifier. Let me get this under a magnifier. I'll get it in there and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's in. Okay, so here I've got my niece tweezers out. Using those bloody great things is stupid. So you can probably see the rivet sitting there raised up. Yeah, let me just push it down into the hole. You can see there. It looks absolutely mint. It's slightly, if anything, it's slightly smaller than the others. But what I'm going to do is actually take that one out. I'm going to sand this completely flat, but before I do that I need to mark the position that the rivets go in. So we take a marker and just go over each rivet like that. Take a sanding stick and just lightly sand over the surface, and because we've got the marker pen, it's given us, it's a bit heavier on that one, it's given us the position of the rivets, so then we can come along with a pointy tool, make an impression in there just like that, and that will give us a guide for our drill to go into, and then we're away. So I'll get that done and then I'll come back. And there we go, the holes are all drilled now. I've used a 0.35 drill, and now what I can do, without those pesky rivets in the way, I can come along and sand this nice and flat. You can see how it's sunken in the middle, so annoying. And there we go, I'm happy with that. We're sanding the Mr. Surfacer, we're sanding the super glue. It's all good. Just quickly clear that back edge. And now we've got our holes there. So I could just come back in with the drill. This is an old 0.35 drill. Just clear those holes out. And then just put the rivets in, which is a doddle. I'm going to try and do it on camera. Where was that one that I had? I thought I put it in here. Maybe I didn't. Right, so we'll have to get another one. So what I should be able to do is just come along and just grab one and snap it off. Just like so, and then we can put that one in the hole. God, I need a magnifier for this. Just place that in the hole like that. As you can see, it's in there, and then just pop it down in. And I'll do the same on the other four, and then I'll come back and we'll have to think about how we're going to glue them in. Well guys, that went completely and utterly tits up. These things, brilliant, no problem at all. However, the shafts on these are 0.3 mil. I thought I was using a 0.35 drill because I just want them to go in easily. And I was actually using a 0.45 drill. So when it came to it, they practically went in flush. So what I've had to do is drill them out 0.5. And then you can see I've put some brass rod in there and then just used a stop and pushed them down to a level. I actually used a scalpel blade. And then with the back of a pair of cutters just push down on each one so that they all go down to the same depth. and then sand over with a sponge to round them off a little bit, and there you have those rivets replaced with brass. It's a lot of fuss, it's a lot of faff, and it's a lot harder than using those, but we got there in the end. But as I say, if they'd have just made that as a bloody separate piece to go on, we wouldn't have had to do any of it. So yeah, kit designers at the ready. So looking around, I think we've got some bits of seam work to do in certain places, but I'll get that done. And then we will push on with the build, because at the moment I'm getting pretty fed up with dealing with seams. Boring. There we go. Gone round, done that bit up there that was a bit dodgy. And you can see here that area where those pieces of brass rod are. You can see that that's all looking good now. So happy with how that's come out. Happy with this here. So I think now we can move on and press forward. I've been looking in the instructions, and boy oh boy, this could have been a lot better, really. I mean, I know I'm moaning a lot about this, but this is just ridiculous. So looking at this fitting this canopy, this upper part, not only have they told us to fit this part Q20, which here becomes Q29, they've told us to fit it to the upper screen here, which you can't do. I haven't fitted mine in yet. I'm sort of wondering if I can actually dry fit it in there, fit the screen and have it glued in there, and then when I take it off it's like that, so I can do all this pipe work. Now if you look closely here, they're telling you here this is a piece of 180mm wire. Alright, so you can see that there, it's a piece of 180mm wire, and it goes from here all the way around up the back and then down to the front. So this actually is some ducting for some air, and these things here, TB25, 24 and 26, are actual vents that blow down. They're vents that blow down over the sides. If you go and look at some reference pictures, you'll see them. They're like the end of them's kind of triangular shaped almost. In fact, I can't remember the name of the name. But anyway, they're like a triangle sort of shape, and they blow down. It's just an air vent that blows down over the glazing to stop them misting up. So you can see here they've got TB25 is actually attached to another piece of wire, which is coming from where? And what's going there? Nothing. And here we've got TB24, which is, I don't know where they've got that. It's just in the middle of the air somewhere, isn't it? It's an absolute joke. These things are on the B fret here. We've got 24, 25 and 26. Now I can only assume that 26 you can cut in half and fit them, because there's one either side, they're at the front, and then you've got 24 and 25, and for some reason here they got them different. I don't know why, they don't look different to me. But they could go, they're actually attached to the framework. They're not attached, I think they're attached to the framework on the sides, not the framework there. I don't know, it's just an absolute bloody joke. So I think what we'll have to do is look at reference pictures, work all this out, see what we can do. We might even leave them out. And they've gone to all the trouble of making these bloody photo-etched little vents here, but they've completely missed out the air conditioning chutes that blow down over the pilots and the gunner, and also the units that go in the sides that look at the back of the helmet. They're completely missing, they're not there. But they've got all this crap in here, I don't know. The more I work on this kit, the more I'm disappointed with it. It's this is lovely with the plastic and all is lovely. The moulding is good in most areas, but these instructions and whoever's designing this, come on guys, how can you expect, especially somebody who's pretty new to the hobby who wants to build an Apache, how can you expect them to work with that? That is total and utter crap, absolute garbage. Get somebody in who can do the job and stop this rubbish. It's just rubbish. And we're back, and I've calmed down. This is about 3 or 4 days after the last segment, and I've been working on the Airfix Spitfire, as some of you will know, and I've calmed down. Right, looking at the build sequence again, just a couple of things I want to point out, and this is just my looking forward head on again. If you look here in step 8, they're telling us to fit this belly panel and this panel here into place. And then they're telling us to build up these sponsons on the side and then fit them on. Well, there is a little bit of an issue here. This belly piece here fits in, I believe it's like that, yeah, with the angle at the back. Okay, and as you can see, it has some play in it. So I'm not exactly sure of its exact position. And you can also see this belly pan here, obviously the tape's in the way, but that is restricted by this bit on the front. So I think what we need to do is make sure it's flush at the front so we get a nice joint there. Okay, but then this one here, I think the position of this will be determined by these sponsons, and they are going to go on like, hang on, that's backwards, Nige. They are going to go on like this. Okay, so that's going to fit in there like that, that's going to fit in there like that, right? And this panel here, oops, the fit of this panel here will be determined by how well this goes in. I think you can understand what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to hold it all together. You can see that we want to get a nice fit with that, and as you can see, when I put this sponson on the side, that doesn't have any play in it anymore. So what we need to do, well, let me nip that sprue nib off there. Right, what we need to do is get these sponsons in position before we glue this panel in, because that's going to determine the position. These are going to determine the position of that, and that is going to determine the position of this. So what I want to do is, first of all, sand that bit of super glue there, but I want to hold these sponsons in place. Let's just cut that one off of there as well. So I want to hold these sponsons in place with a peg or something or whatever, a rubber band, bit of tape. Hold them in position like that, and then glue this panel to the fuselage, because as you can see now it's solid, it's held in there. You don't want to be gluing that on and then finding you can't fit the sponsons. So that's the way to do it, in my opinion. And also we need to make sure we fit this belly panel before we fit the sponsons, because obviously the sponsons go over the belly panel. You're not going to get it in there, I don't think. No, you're not going to get it in there with that sponson in the way. So that's what I'm going to do. You can see now we've got all the movement, we've got all the play in it, but with the sponsons on there you don't. So that's one thing, that's one little tip I've got for you. The other thing we need to do, we've got photo etch grills going on here and here and here and here, so we need to make sure we've painted those black and the back of the photo etch part black as well, so that it's all nice and black in there. And also these little bits here, D24, we need to make sure we've got them on at the same time, and these parts here. Get it all in together when we fit the sponsons, and then we'll get some nice joints. So I'm going to go on now and build up these sponsons. I'll paint these grills black first. I'm not going to bother fitting all this internal detail here, P27, L2 or any of this here, because I'm just going to glue those doors shut. I'm not interested in having, you've got some beautifully moulded in detail, all the electronics bays and everything, it's all lovely, nicely done, but having those doors open I think spoils the lines of the Apache, so that's what I'm going to leave them, or glue them shut should I say. So I'm going to go on and do that, and in the meantime we can say ta-da, and I'll see you. We've got an ejection pin mark there, not ejector, injection pin. You can see that's where the plastic's been injected in, so we need to remove that. It's quite where they had to put it there, I do not know. Don't know where they could have injected from the back. But we'll have to sand that out. Probably got one on here as well. Yes, we have. We've got one there as well. So that's going to have to be sanded out. So I can use my little bit of Flory skinny stick just to get in there and sand that out without removing any of the rivet detail. In fact, what we'll do first of all, we'll get a curved blade. We'll just take the top off of that, and just sand that out. And then I've got a brand new skinny. The Fiddly skinny sticks have changed. The green is now a sort of coarser stick with a sponge on the back. So this is the old green. It was quite a nice stick. My favourite stick of all was the green. I don't know why he changed it. But these are the ones that the lovely Brett from High Altitude Hobbies sent me. So thanks very much, Brett. There we go. So I'll do the same on the other one. Hey guys, a few bits and pieces here. I've got the undercarriage legs together. I stupidly followed the instructions. They tell you here, I tell you, this kit is actually getting me down. I'm considering binning it. It's just not enjoyable at all. They tell you here to build the undercarriage legs up, and if you can see here that the actual instructions are once again effing useless. You've got to look at this picture here of them assembled. I mean, this little piece here, P61, is like it's there. It's this triangular bit. Where's my pointer? It's this triangular piece here that you can see, and as you can see, it's not equilateral. I've fitted it that way around because that's kind of how it looks to me, and it's for this thing here, whatever this is. This rod, and that goes on there. Now it's all obviously quite flimsy and easily breakable, and I've since realised that I could have actually fitted this all after the legs go in, because it's going to be quite tricky putting the legs in. You've got to, the undercarriage leg actually goes, that's this other side, this leg here is actually going to go into this slot like that, and then when you fit this fit this on, this pin here, let's take it out and show you, this D-shaped pin here has to go into that hole there. Now because we've got all of this crap on here, we can't fit that first and then slide this over, and you can't do that anyway because then you can't get that to go in there. So it's all got to be sort of done together, and I found the only way to really do it was to put it like this. Put this sort of in place. Sorry, first of all put this piece in. Okay, that piece can pivot, don't glue it. Put this outer piece on over that like so. Okay, and then get those holes to line up with those pins in there, and then come in like this and sort of get that hooked in behind inside there where it's got to go. I can't even see what I'm doing because the camera's sort of, I'm trying to let you guys see what I'm doing. I can't see what I'm doing myself, which is not good. That's got to hook in behind there, which is what I just showed you, where that tab goes in between those two tangs. It's extremely bloody awkward. And then at the same time you've got to get that to go into that hole, and you swivel that back arm down to it. It's very, very fiddly and very awkward. However, if you don't fit all this garbage on here, as they tell you in the instructions to do, then you could actually put this in like this, I think, and then put that in there, that one, have that one in there with the long side outwards, and then that will go into there like so. Okay, and then you could slide, which one is this one, you could slide this over and fit it on, but because I've got all this rubbish on here I can't do that, so it's likely to get broken off, and it's in my way. It's preventing me from putting this together because I can't get that to physically go over this here. It would go over the leg, but it won't go over that there. So yeah, great. Well done, Takom. Mint again on the instructions. You know, you've just got arrows like it goes there, no diagram to show any angle or anything, nothing to show a finished assembly, nothing, and all you got to go by is that. So yeah, thanks Takom, brilliant job. And then with this here, you've got these photo etch pieces. It's not very clear what they're showing you here, This, it looks like in the back of here there's a recess, so it looks like the photo etch is actually going to go into the back of there rather than onto here. So you're going to put the photo etch into there first and then fit this onto there. And that will keep the photo etch away from the grill at the back. And it's probably the same on this one as well. Yes, it is. And once again, Takom have done this wonderful thing where they've got the sprue nib. As you can see there, we've got the sprue nib on the edge of the part, and it goes over onto the side. And they've got it on the side of the detail. Yay! Well done, Takom. You're so good at this. What? They've got it on the side where the rivets are, so you've got to carefully carve that away now without damaging. I mean, one of them is right next to a rivet as well. You've got to cut this away without damaging the rivet head. And there we are. Brilliant. Thank you, Takom. Lovely job. Well done. Do you know what, guys? If I were you, I'd wait for the main one. I wouldn't touch this. They don't deserve our money. They don't deserve our money when they do shit like this. And they keep doing it. And I've heard other people talk about it, and you know I talk about it all the time. You know, it ain't difficult, guys. It ain't like rocket science, is it? If you're going to have your sprue nibs going onto the face, put them on the bloody back. I know I'm moaning about this a lot, and it's probably wearing you a bit thin. It's really getting me down. But, you know, I don't understand why they just keep doing these stupid mistakes. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So, there we are. Sand that one there. I mean, there's one sprue nib on one side and two on the other side. And on the one side, it doesn't run onto either face, so I don't know why it needs to run onto the face on the other side when there's two of them. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Get your bloody instruction people sorted and get some decent tool design people in, because this is just not good. Right, I'll clean the other one up, and then I'm going to get some painting done and come back and see what I do. Okay, moving forward, another couple of discoveries, just a few things to talk about. So I've got these doors off the sprue. I've done these PE mesh grills. They're an absolute nightmare, and they're not very nice at all. Not very well designed. Unfortunately, you know, they're so fine and spindly, you just touch them and it ruins them. So they're glued in from behind. I had to do a lot of scraping out and cleaning out the recess in there to actually get the piece of photo etch to go in, so they sit in neatly. And you can see here, these have gone in as well. Again, I had to scrape out the recess to get them to go in. So they sit in there nicely, and now they're going to basically go onto here like so. Like that. So they fit in there lovely, just like that. And then we'll grab some Mr. Surfacer to seal in the gaps around the edge. I think going photo etch with all this is a bit over the top. I think they could have quite easily moulded this. I mean, that is a lot neater than the photo etch. But maybe in real life it's not so neat either. We also need to be careful. These are handed. If you look at them, they have a row of rivets down one side and not the other. And the row of rivets is, or fasteners, is rearward. So make sure they go in the right way. That one doesn't actually fit in there very well. Maybe this one will. No, they don't seem to fit in there very well at all. So they're going to have to be sanded down to fit in. So again, this is just... it's just not good, is it? So it could be, I mean, I may have stretched them when I've been scraping them. I doubt it, but I doubt I would have stretched both of them. There we go, that's going to go in there now. So that will go in, get glued in after we've painted in behind there black and everything. I'm going to have to sand some more off of that to get it to fit in. But, end of the day, it's. I was chatting to Chris tonight on the on a hangout, and I said to him, "It's the instructions are bloody awful, and the kit does your head in." But to be honest, I think if you did another one, you'd know all the, or if you're following my work, then you'll know all the foibles, and I don't think it'd be too bad a kit. I know Luke over at Black Rifle's building one as well, and I haven't seen any of his work because I don't like watching other people build a kit that I'm building, because it tends to kind of tarnish your opinions, and also you can pick up opinions from other people that can sometimes turn out to be wrong. Like for instance with the mesh on the tail there. So sometimes it's better to not watch other people's build and go for your own angle, and then watch other people's builds when you're finished. So there we go, that's got in there. There's a couple of these being built over on Ice Queen 7's Facebook page as well. Paul's doing one and Tim's doing one. And yeah, Paul's is an Australian one by the look of it, in the camo scheme. So I guess he's doing the, is it called the World one or something? I can't remember what it's called now. Something to do with the world. It's, very strange design, this. Very, very strange design indeed. Having this like this, I don't get it. I really don't get it. I don't know what they're trying to achieve, but sometimes with these Chinese kits, they try to achieve great things by using photo etch, and in reality the plastic molded parts would have been absolutely fine. What it is there, look, we've got the radius is wrong on here, so it could be that this one actually fits better in this side. No, the radius on this part, the radius is a lot smaller than it is on that part, so when it goes in with the rivets facing backwards. You can see it wants to go in, but up here in this corner you can see the difference in the radius there. I don't know if you can see that or not, but the actual radius on the actual part, this mesh part, is a lot smaller than the radius on the fuselage part. And as I'm pushing it in, you can see it's collapsing it all, and the photo etch is all wrinkling up and everything. Oh God. Oh dear, dear, dear. Edward, please come to the rescue and give us a photo etch set to replace this crap. This is bloody terrible. It's getting there, but it needs a lot of fettling to get it right. So, you know, for a brand new kit, 2023, I don't think it should be like this, really, should it? There we go, but as you can see where it's sort of had to shrink, all the photo etch is wrinkled up now. So, yeah. I'll do some more sanding and get it to fit. When you come along to these doors here, I've numbered these 9, and they're number 9 and number 10 on the sprue, and they look practically identical, but they are slightly different. And the instructions here tell you to fit 10 into this one, which is the right hand starboard side, which is this one. So number 10, you put that in there. As you can see, got a lot of play. So you think, oh, I wonder if number 9 would be better in this side. Oh, look at that. It's a lot nicer. And if you follow the instructions, it tells you to put number 9 in this side. It doesn't fit. But number 10 fits beautifully. So there we are. We can glue those in actually. So we'll glue them in from behind so we don't get any glue marks anywhere. Just put some cement along there. Put some cement along the bottom, and I'm just going to give it a nudge because we've got a big gap on one side. There we go. So that's that one in there, and then this one can go in there. Make sure it's the right way up. go. That's gone in there lovely. So that fits nicely in there now, so they're done. And we've also got these doors on the front. Now this door here, when I was fitting it, I noticed you've got all this lovely detail in here. I noticed it was sticking out. You've got this beautiful hinge detail. You've got interior detail on the door, so you can have it all open for display if you want to. I don't want to. I want to have it all closed up. And what I noticed, it was all sticking out. So if you cut away this lovely detail here and here, it actually lets the door sit in nice and flush. So that's a good way of doing that. And then what we can do here is get a drop of extra thin and just tap it there and tap it there. Doesn't need to be like welded on, it can just be tacked in place. I've just noticed actually we have a radius problem there again. So I'm just going to pull this door away. I should have checked this before I fitted it. I actually did it on the other side. And we have a radius problem here. We need to remove some material from there. There we go, it fits a lot better now. So I'm just going to give it another tap there, another tap there. Why is it not fitting in there on those hinges? Come on. There we go. It's playing silly buggers, isn't it? That's what it's doing. It's messing about with me. There we are. So that's that one glued on. This side fits without any, you don't need to cut anything away on this side. This one just goes on just like so. I've already sanded this one away here so to get it to fit better. Just a tiny tap on there. I think we'll put a drop of Mr. Surface on there because there's a bit of a soft edge there. A bit of a soft edge on this part, so it sort of rolls around into it rather, but that might be how it is on the real thing. I'm just going to get some extra thin on that edge there where the sprue nib was, just to get rid of the sanding marks. There we are, so that's those all done. So we can cross them off. And that one there, I didn't use that one there, I didn't use that one there, and I didn't use that one there. Don't forget, as I said, if you want to, just fit the undercarriage legs without all this rubbish on, and then you can fit that afterwards, save it getting broken off. So there we are, we've got bits to go on here now, and then it's going to be moving into getting it all fitted up. As I say, I want to fit the sponsons in place. I want to fit the sponsons in place and then get this positioned correctly. I think this basically goes in and it just gets pushed all the way back, doesn't it? I think that's the way it goes. So that's going to go in like that. The sponson's going to go on like that. And then that one's going to go onto there, that one's going to go onto there. All this can get squeezed together like so. And then we can put some cement in here and into there. Just to make sure this is glued in and dries in the right position. There we go. I think I'm going to put a clamp across here just to hold this in place. There we go. So that's them held in position. So now that's in there. It's not going anywhere. It's going to dry like that, and then once it's dry we can take them off and we'll be ready to glue that in properly then down those edges. So very nice indeed. It's all looking lovely, isn't it? So right, I'm going to call it a day there for this video because I think we've been over an hour now, I think. I built up these little winglets. One other little tip, something I found out earlier was, I can't show you now, it's got that clamp in the way, but if you look at the way this has been made, you've got this cutout here that the back of this winglet sits in, and if you look at the shape of that there, you can see that it's wedged and it's bigger on the inside than it is on the outside, hence it won't go in. So what you need to do is either cut some of that material away if you want to fit the sponsons first, or fit the sponson and the winglet together. I think what I should probably do is cut away this front corner here of the tab and cut that away, and then I can sort of put it in like that, sort of get it in and in, because I don't really want to have this flying around with these little stupid little pitot tubes on there. They should have been made them separately. They're going to get broken off for sure. So there we go. And then once it's all this is all fitted on, then I'll fit these pieces underneath and fit these pieces on here, and make sure we get a nice seam everywhere on the fuselage and everywhere else as well. So Mr. Surfacer to the rescue it'll be. Right, so as I say, I'm going to call that a day for this one. I think this has been part 3, hasn't it? Or is it part 4? I think this is part 3. So I'll see you all for part 4. As I say, I keep saying I'll get away and get these. I've got to get these fitted actually first. Get them all sanded, get them fitted, and then we'll paint them black. Do these legs here in the chrome, and then we're good to go. So see you for part 4 whenever. If you want to see me building this live on camera, if you go to Plastic Monkey's channel, on a Saturday night we do the live builds. Unfortunately, by the time you see this video, maybe I'll be finished, I don't know. But we do the live builds on a Saturday night, and this is the kit I work on that channel. So if you want to see me working on it, come pop on over. But hence there's certain bits of it you see me just with these videos. I'll sort of jump ahead because I've already done it, and I'll probably be working on this tomorrow night. Probably trying to do some other bits and pieces that I don't need to video. So I'll see you all soon. Thank you for watching, and stay safe, happy modelling, have fun, and stay safe, have fun and happy modelling, really. Nothing else to say, is there? Thank you for watching. Bye for now.